Emily Chen stared out the window of her father's corner office on the top floor of the Grand Pacific Hotel. At 28 years old, she had everything most people dreamed of: designer clothes, a luxury apartment, and a guaranteed executive position in her family's hotel empire. But something felt empty. Her father, Robert Chen, had built the Chen Hotel Group from nothing. Starting with one small motel 30 years ago, he now owned 15 luxury hotels across the country. Emily admired him deeply, but lately, she noticed something troubling during her visits to their hotels. "The staff looks unhappy," she told her father one Thursday afternoon. "I heard two managers laughing about ignoring maintenance requests from the cleaning staff." Robert sighed and put down his pen. "Emily, running hotels is complicated. We have systems in place. But those systems aren't working," Emily insisted. "When was the last time you actually talked to the people who clean the rooms or wash the dishes?" Her father looked away. "That's what managers are for." That night, Emily couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the disconnect between the luxury they sold to guests and the reality for their workers. The next morning, she made a bold decision. Emily walked into her father's office without knocking. "I want to work as a janitor at the Grand Pacific," she announced. Robert laughed, then realized she was serious. "That's ridiculous. You have an MBA from Stanford." "Exactly," Emily said. "I know everything about hotel finance and marketing, but I know nothing about what it's really like to work here." "Read the employee satisfaction surveys," Robert suggested, returning to his paperwork. Emily dropped a folder on his desk. "These surveys? Where 95% say they're satisfied or very satisfied." "Dad, people lie when they're afraid of losing their jobs." Robert looked up, suddenly interested. "What are you suggesting?" "Let me work undercover for 3 months," Emily explained. "No one knows what I look like except the top executives. I'll use a different name and background. I want to see how things really work when the owner's daughter isn't around." "This isn't a movie, Emily." "But it could change everything about how we run our business," she argued. "What if we're missing something important? What if we could be better?" For 20 minutes, they debated back and forth. Finally, Robert leaned back in his chair. "3 conditions," he said. "First, you tell no one except me. Second, you follow all employee rules exactly. No special treatment. Third, you finish the full 3 months no matter what." Emily nodded eagerly. "I promise." Over the next week, Emily prepared. She rented a small apartment across town under the name Maria Diaz. She bought simple clothes from discount stores. She removed her expensive nail polish and jewelry. She even dyed her hair from highlighted blonde to plain brown and started wearing glasses instead of contacts. Emily researched janitor duties online and practiced cleaning techniques in her apartment. She created a simple backstory. Maria had moved to the city 6 months ago and needed steady work. The hotel's HR department, not knowing who she really was, hired Maria for the night shift janitorial position. On her first day, Emily stood outside the employee entrance at 10:30 p.m., dressed in worn jeans and a simple hoodie. Her heart raced as she clutched her small lunch bag. For the first time in her life, she felt truly nervous about a job. "You can do this," she whispered to herself, and pulled open the heavy metal door. What Emily would learn in the coming weeks would change her life and the lives of hundreds of hotel workers forever. Emily's first night as Maria started with a brief orientation. The night supervisor, a tired-looking man named Victor, barely looked at her paperwork. "You'll be on the 3rd floor tonight," Victor said, pointing to a cleaning cart. "Bathrooms need special attention," the morning shift complained. Emily nodded, trying to appear confident despite her racing heart. The staff locker room was small and dimly lit. She changed into the hotel's dark blue uniform with Maria stitched on the pocket. The fabric was rough against her skin, nothing like the silk blouses she usually wore. "You the new girl?" asked a woman at the next locker. She had gray hair tied in a tight bun and deep lines around her eyes. "Yes, I'm Maria," Emily answered, trying to sound natural. "Gloria," the woman said, "stick with me tonight. Victor's explanation is always useless." Emily felt grateful as she followed Gloria to the service elevator. She had never used this elevator before, even though she'd visited this hotel hundreds of times. It was slow and made strange noises. "Been cleaning long?" Gloria asked. Emily's mind raced to her prepared backstory. Just small jobs before. This is my first hotel position. Gloria nodded. Well, get ready for sore feet, and don't expect thanks. The elevator opened on the third floor, and Emily was immediately overwhelmed. Gloria showed her the cleaning schedule. 22 rooms needed deep cleaning, 15 bathrooms needed sanitizing, and all hallways needed vacuuming. They had 8 hours to finish everything. This is a lot, Emily mumbled. Gloria laughed. Welcome to hotel work, honey. The first bathroom nearly broke Emily's spirit. A guest had been sick all over the floor and hadn't bothered to clean anything. The smell made her eyes water. I can't, Emily started to say, stepping back. Gloria handed her gloves and a mask. We all feel that way at first. Just breathe through your mouth. Emily had never cleaned a toilet in her life. At home, she had mates. Now, she was on her knees scrubbing disgusting stains. Her stomach turned, but she refused to quit on her first night. 3 hours into her shift, Emily's back ached, her hands were red from chemicals, and she had cleaned only 7 rooms. Gloria worked twice as fast. You'll get quicker, Gloria assured her during their break in the small staff room. Emily collapsed into a chair, too tired to even open her lunch. Around her, other cleaning staff ate quickly, some napping with their heads on the table during their short 30-minute break. How long have you worked here? Emily asked Gloria. 12 years next month, Gloria said, pulling out a small container of leftover rice and beans. Do you like it? Gloria gave her a strange look. Like it? It's work. It pays bills. Emily was shocked when Gloria showed her a photo of her family. My son just started college, Gloria said proudly. First in our family. That's why I work nights. Better pay with the shift differential. The second half of the shift was even harder. Emily's arms trembled as she pushed the heavy vacuum. A guest called the front desk to complain that the cleaning was too loud, even though it was only 2 a.m. Victor scolded her. Sorry, Emily apologized. I didn't realize. Just be quieter, Victor interrupted. Rich people need their beauty sleep. By 6 a.m., Emily was barely standing. Her perfect Stanford-educated posture was gone, replaced by the tired slouch of manual labor. As she turned in her cleaning report, Victor barely looked at it. You missed spots in rooms 312 and 319, he said. Do better tomorrow. Emily dragged herself to the locker room, changed, and headed to her rented apartment. As she rode the public bus home, another first, she stared at her reflection in the window. Her hair was plastered to her forehead with sweat. Her eyes were red with exhaustion. For the first time, she realized something important. All her life, she had been kept comfortable by the invisible work of people like Gloria, people who cleaned and served and never complained. Emily fell into bed without even taking off her shoes, setting her alarm for 8 p.m. She had a lot to learn, and this was just the beginning. By the end of her first week, Emily's body had transformed. Her manicured hands now showed small cuts and rough patches. Her muscles ached less, but she moved differently, more efficiently, conserving energy for the long nights ahead. Maria, you're getting better, Gloria said on Friday night as they finished a bathroom together. Emily felt ridiculously proud of this simple compliment. The staff break room had become Emily's education center. Each night, workers gathered around the small table, sharing meals and stories. Emily learned to stay quiet and listen. My daughter's school wants $300 for a field trip, said Carlos, a janitor who worked the lobby. I told her maybe next year. Her face, man, it killed me. The hotel made record profits last quarter, added Jen, who cleaned the executive offices. I saw the report while emptying trash. $20 million, and they cut our supply budget. Emily nearly choked on her sandwich. She remembered that report. She had helped prepare it. The cost-saving measures had been her idea, part of her business school thinking. She never considered what it meant for the people actually doing the work. On her 10th night, Emily experienced something new. A guest in room 424 stopped her in the hallway. Hey, cleaning girl, the man called. He wore an expensive suit and carried a drink from the bar. My room's a mess. Come fix it now. Emily checked her schedule. Sir, I can have someone help you in about 20 minutes. The man's face changed. I said, now. Do you know who I am? I spend thousands here every month. I understand, but... Get your manager, he demanded. You people never listen. The word you people hit Emily like a slap. She had heard that tone before, from her father's business friends, sometimes from her own mouth when service wasn't perfect. Victor arrived quickly. I apologize for any inconvenience, Mr. Peterson. Maria is new. We'll take care of your room immediately. Emily was redirected to clean Mr. Peterson's suite, while Gloria covered her assigned area. The room wasn't even very messy, just clothes thrown around and a spilled drink. That's Peterson, Gloria explained later. Hotel management kisses his feet because he books large corporate events here. He makes the same mess every week. The following Tuesday brought a new challenge. Emily was assigned to clean the executive meeting rooms, where her father would be hosting a quarterly review. Be careful in there, Victor warned. The big boss is in today. Make yourself invisible. Emily's heart pounded as she pushed her cart into the hallway outside the conference room. Through the glass doors, she could see her father at the head of the table. Executives she had known her whole life sat around him, looking serious as they discussed profit margins. She kept her head down, dusting quietly in the corridor. When the meeting broke for lunch, executives streamed past her without a glance. To them, she was furniture, something that made the hotel function, but not worth acknowledging. Then her father walked by. Emily froze, certain he would recognize her despite the uniform and dyed hair. Robert Chen looked directly at her, nodded slightly with a polite thank you, and continued walking. He hadn't recognized his own daughter. That night, Emily cried in her rented apartment, not from exhaustion or sore muscles, but from the realization that she had been just as blind as her father. She had walked past countless service workers without seeing them as people. By her third week, Emily had earned respect among the night crew. She worked hard, asked smart questions, and never complained. What the staff didn't know was that she filled a notebook each morning with observations and ideas. You're one of us now, Gloria told her one night, sharing homemade tamales. Emily felt both proud and guilty about the compliment. The real test came when Victor assigned her to work independently. Floor 5 is yours tonight, he said. Don't mess it up. As Emily pushed her cart onto the 5th floor, she took a deep breath. She wasn't just learning about cleaning anymore. She was learning about humanity, dignity, and the invisible workforce that made luxury possible. The lessons were just beginning. 1 month into her undercover work, Emily had settled into a routine. Her body no longer protested the physical labor, and she could clean a bathroom in half the time it took during her first week. But her mind was far from settled. Each night revealed new insights about the hotel's operations and its failures. On a quiet Tuesday night, Emily met James for the first time. She was struggling with a vacuum cleaner that kept cutting out when a young man in the same blue uniform approached. That one's always trouble, he said, kneeling beside her. Let me show you a trick. He flipped the vacuum over, pulled a small screwdriver from his pocket, and tightened something inside. The machine hummed back to life. I'm James, he said, standing up. Maintenance and night cleaning. Maria, Emily replied. Thank you for fixing it. James smiled. No problem. That vacuum is older than both of us combined. Management won't replace it because it's still functional. He made air quotes with his fingers. Emily soon learned that James worked 2 jobs and attended community college during the day. At 24, he was studying engineering while supporting his younger sister. Our parents are gone, he explained during a break a few nights later. It's just me and Tanya now. She's 16 and smart, way smarter than me. She's going to a good college, not piece by piece like I am. Emily found herself opening up to James in ways she hadn't with the other staff. Perhaps it was his kindness or his optimism despite difficult circumstances. What about you? James asked one night as they cleaned the hotel gym together. Why cleaning? Emily fumbled with her prepared story. I needed work, and hotels are always hiring cleaners. But you're different, James said, studying her. The way you talk sometimes. The questions you ask. You notice things others don't. Emily's heart raced. Had he figured out her secret? I just pay attention, she said carefully. James shrugged. Well, I'm glad you're here. Most people quit after 2 weeks. As weeks passed, Emily and James often worked together. He showed her how to fix small issues without filing maintenance requests that would never be addressed. She learned which managers respected the cleaning staff and which ones treated them like machines. One night, they were assigned to deep clean the penthouse suite after a particularly messy guest checkout. The room was destroyed. Food ground into carpets, furniture overturned, even drawings on the bathroom mirror. Rockstar, James explained. Management lets them do whatever they want because they pay triple the normal rate. As they scrubbed the bathroom together, James mentioned his upcoming engineering exam. If I pass, I qualify for an internship program. Real engineering work, real pay. I could cut back to one job. That's amazing, Emily said, genuinely excited for him. Yeah, but the exam fee is $300, James sighed. I've been saving, but my sister needs new glasses. Her prescription changed. Emily fought the urge to offer him money. As Maria, she couldn't explain having extra cash. That night, Emily made a decision. In her apartment, she drafted a proposal for an employee education support program. She would present it to her father when her undercover work finished. A program to cover certification fees, exam costs, and textbooks for employees pursuing education. The next day, Emily did something risky. She left an envelope in James's locker with exactly $300 and a note saying only, "For your exam, from a friend who believes in you." 2 days later, James found her in the break room, eyes wide. "Someone left money for my exam," he whispered. "I have no idea who." "That's wonderful," Emily said, trying to look surprised. "Maybe someone heard you talking about it." James shook his head in disbelief. "In all my life, nobody's ever done something like that for me." For the first time since starting her undercover mission, Emily felt a pang of guilt about her deception. James wasn't just a subject in her research anymore. He was becoming a friend, perhaps the most genuine friendship she'd ever had. 6 weeks into her undercover work, Emily noticed concerning patterns at the Grand Pacific Hotel. Equipment remained broken despite repeated reports. Staff schedules changed without notice. Promised wage reviews never materialized. Most troubling was the gap between hotel policy and reality. The employee handbook promised fair treatment and respect, but Emily witnessed the opposite daily. One Wednesday night, she arrived to find the break room buzzing with tension. "What's happening?" she asked Gloria, who stood with arms crossed, face tight with anger. "Management cut our hours again," Gloria explained. "Everyone works 36 hours now instead of 40. They say it's temporary, but we all know better." "But you need 40 hours, Emily said, remembering Gloria's son in college. Gloria nodded grimly. "They know exactly what they're doing. Keep us just under full time so they don't pay benefits." Emily felt sick. This decision had likely come from the finance department, perhaps even with her father's approval. The hotel would save thousands while families struggled. That night, Emily cleaned rooms mechanically, her mind racing. In her regular life, she had access to her father, to executives, to decision-makers. As Maria, she was powerless. Around 2 a.m., a call came through the staff radio. "All available cleaning staff to the presidential suite immediately." Emily hurried to the top floor where Victor stood outside the suite, face pale. "Guest emergency," he explained to the gathered staff. The Wilsons had a situation. Their child was sick everywhere. Walls, carpet, furniture. "They're checking out now, and we have new guests arriving at noon." Emily and 5 others entered the suite. The smell hit them first, a mixture of alcohol, vomit, and something worse. The parents had apparently hosted a party while their child became violently ill. Instead of cleaning up, they had simply called for service. "This is impossible," said Carlos, surveying the disaster. "We need professional cleaners." "Just do your best," Victor said. "Management won't pay for specialists." For 4 hours, they scrubbed, disinfected, and shampooed carpets. Emily's back screamed in pain as she crawled under furniture removing stains. By morning, the suite looked presentable, but everyone knew deep cleaning was needed. "It'll do," Victor declared after inspection. "New guests won't know." "But there could still be bacteria," Emily protested. "Health hazards. Shouldn't we?" "Not our call," Victor cut her off. "Orders from the top." Emily knew the top meant her father's executive team. The breaking point came 3 days later. Emily was cleaning near the lobby when she overheard a conversation between the hotel manager and James. James stood stiffly in his uniform, hands clasped behind his back. "Your request for time off is denied," the manager said sharply. "We're short-staffed already." "Sir, it's just 4 hours for my engineering exam," James explained. "I requested it 3 weeks ago." "Not my problem," the manager replied. "Find someone to cover your shift or don't show up at all." Emily watched James's face fall, then harden. "I understand. Thank you, sir." Later, in the break room, Emily found James sitting alone, staring at his phone. "What will you do?" she asked softly. "The exam is Thursday at 4 p.m., James said. "My shift starts at 3. I tried everyone. Nobody can cover." Emily thought of the $300 exam fee James had already paid. "Can you reschedule the exam?" "Next offering is in 6 months." James put his phone down. "Guess I'll just have to wait." That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Everything she had witnessed over 6 weeks crashed together in her mind. The unfair scheduling, the broken equipment, the dismissive treatment, the impossible workloads, and now James, losing his opportunity because of rigid policies. She reached for her phone and typed a message to her father. "We need to talk. Tomorrow, it's urgent." The time for watching was over. Emily needed to act. Thursday morning arrived with gray skies and steady rain. Emily sat in her father's office, not as Maria the janitor, but as herself again. She had dressed carefully, not in her usual designer clothes, but in a simple button-up shirt and pants. Her dyed hair was pulled back, revealing its growing blonde roots. "This must be important," Robert Chen said, checking his watch. "I have a board meeting in 30 minutes. Emily placed a thick folder on his desk. "More important than your meeting. These are my notes from 6 weeks working undercover at the Grand Pacific." Her father frowned. "You're still doing that? Emily, I thought you would have given up after a few days." "I promised 3 months," she reminded him. "But something happened that can't wait." Emily explained the situation with James and his exam. Robert shrugged. "If he wants special treatment." "It's not special treatment," Emily interrupted. "It's basic decency. He requested time off weeks ago. He paid for this exam with money he doesn't have." Emily opened the folder, showing her father page after page of detailed notes. "Our workers are treated terribly. Equipment doesn't get fixed. Schedules change without notice. People work sick because they can't afford to lose hours." Robert's expression darkened. "This isn't your concern, Emily. Hotel operations are complicated." "No, they're not." Emily stood up. "What's complicated is why we pretend to care about our employees while treating them like they're disposable." For the first time, Robert looked unsettled. "What exactly do you want?" "James needs today off for his exam," Emily said firmly. "And I'm going to cover his shift." "That's ridiculous. You're not actually." "I've been doing the job for 6 weeks. I'm qualified," Emily cut in. "And tonight, you're coming with me." Robert stared at his daughter. "Have you lost your mind?" "Dad, you haven't set foot in a staff area in 15 years. You have no idea what's really happening in your hotels." Emily took a deep breath. "One night, see what I've seen, then decide if I'm crazy." After a long silence, Robert nodded slowly. "Fine. One night." Emily immediately called the night manager. "This is Emily Chen. James submitted a time-off request for today. Approve it immediately." That afternoon, Emily arrived at the hotel as Maria for the last time. She found James in the locker room, preparing for his shift. "You got the time off," she said simply. James looked up, confused. "What? How?" "It doesn't matter. Go take your exam. Nail it." James shook his head in disbelief. "Maria, how did you possibly?" "I have something to tell you," Emily interrupted. "I'm not who you think I am." James stared as Emily explained everything, who she really was, why she had been working undercover, what she had learned. When she finished, the locker room was silent. James looked at her with an expression she couldn't read. "You lied," he finally said. "All this time." "Yes," Emily admitted. "I'm sorry." James stood up. "So our friendship, was that just research too?" "No," Emily said quickly. "That was real, is real. Before James could respond, the locker room door opened. Robert Chen walked in, looking uncomfortable in the unfamiliar surroundings. Dad, Emily acknowledged him. This is James, the engineering student I told you about. James's eyes widened as he recognized the hotel owner. Mr. Chen? Aye. Go to your exam, son, Robert said, his voice gentler than Emily expected. Your job will be here when you return. After James left, Emily turned to her father. Ready for your first night as a janitor? Robert adjusted his borrowed uniform. I haven't cleaned a toilet since college. Don't worry, Emily said with a small smile. I'll show you how everything works. As they walked toward the service elevator, other staff members stared in shock, whispering among themselves. The owner's daughter had been working among them for weeks, and now the owner himself was joining her. The revelation was just beginning. By morning, nothing at the Grand Pacific Hotel would ever be the same. Robert Chen stood awkwardly in the service hallway, his hands gripping the cleaning cart. Emily could see the discomfort on his father's face as Victor approached with the night's assignment sheet. Maria, you and the new guy take the 4th floor tonight, Victor said, not looking up from his clipboard. Room 412 needs special attention. Guests complained about bathroom mold. Emily nodded. Got it. And who's this? Victor finally glanced at Robert. This is Bob, Emily said quickly. He's training tonight. Victor frowned. Nobody told me about a new hire. Last-minute replacement, Emily explained. James is out. Victor shrugged and walked away. Robert looked at his daughter with newfound respect. He didn't recognize me, he whispered. Nobody sees the cleaning staff, Emily replied. That's the first lesson. For the next hour, Emily showed her father how to properly clean a hotel room. Robert struggled with the vacuum, fumbled with the cleaning supplies, and winced at the state of the bathrooms. This is harder than it looks, he admitted, sweat forming on his forehead as he scrubbed a bathtub. Now imagine doing it for 8 hours straight, Emily said, for minimum wage plus whatever small tips guests leave. In room 412, they found the reported mold, a serious problem growing behind the shower tile. This needs professional repair, Robert said immediately. It's a health hazard. I know, Emily agreed. I've reported 3 rooms like this in the past month. Maintenance just covers it with caulk that washes away within weeks. Robert frowned and took out his phone to make a note. Around midnight, they joined the other staff for break time. Gloria was heating up her dinner in the small microwave when they entered. Maria, she called. Who's your friend? Emily hesitated. This is Bob. He's new. Gloria smiled warmly at Robert. First date, huh? You'll get used to it. Emily watched as her father awkwardly sat with the night staff. Carlos was telling a story about a guest who had left an entire pizza face down on the white bedspread. Jen was complaining about her son's teacher demanding expensive school supplies. One by one, the staff shared their daily struggles and small victories. Robert remained quiet, listening. Emily could see the change in his face as the break continued. The slow realization that these people he had never noticed were complex human beings with full lives. When the break ended, an emergency call came through. A guest in the penthouse had spilled red wine all over the white carpet and needed immediate assistance. I'll go, Emily volunteered. Bob can come with me. In the elevator, Robert turned to his daughter. Emily, I've seen enough. This is. No, she cut him off. The night isn't over. You promised to see everything. The penthouse was occupied by a well-known businessman, someone Robert had personally hosted at charity events. The guest barely acknowledged them as they entered, continuing his phone call while gesturing to the large wine stain. My wife is clumsy, he said dismissively before returning to his conversation. Emily and Robert worked silently on their hands and knees, using special cleaners to remove the stain. The guest walked around them as if they were furniture, once nearly stepping on Emily's hand. When they finally finished, the guest didn't thank them or even look up from his laptop. As they packed up their supplies, he called the front desk to complain that the bottled water in his room wasn't the premium brand he preferred. In the service elevator, Robert was silent, his face hard with emotion. That man is on our VIP list, he finally said. We send him birthday gifts every year. I know, Emily replied. I handled the VIP program last year. As they returned to their cart, Victor approached with another assignment, a bathroom flood in room 305. Robert took a deep breath. "Let's go," he said, his voice determined. "We have work to do." For the first time in his career, Robert Chen was truly seeing his hotel, and what he saw was changing him forever. 1 month after the night Robert Chen worked as a janitor, the Grand Pacific Hotel looked the same from the outside. The marble lobby still gleamed. Guests in expensive clothes still checked in at the front desk. But behind the scenes, everything had changed. Emily stood in the newly renovated staff break room, watching workers enjoy their lunch in comfortable chairs. The old broken microwave had been replaced with new kitchen equipment. The walls displayed a fresh coat of paint, and a bulletin board showed employee achievements and birthdays. "Hard to believe this is the same place," Gloria said, joining Emily. "All because you pretended to be Maria." Emily smiled. "I didn't do it alone." After that night shift with her father, things had moved quickly. Robert called an emergency meeting with all hotel executives the next morning. Still wearing his janitor uniform, he had shocked everyone by announcing major changes. "My daughter showed me what I refused to see," he had told the stunned executives. "Our success is built on the backs of people we've been ignoring." Within 2 weeks, Robert had approved a complete overhaul of employee policies. Wages increased by 20%, equipment was repaired or replaced, schedules became more flexible, a new education support program offered tuition assistance. Most importantly, Robert created a staff council where workers from every department could speak directly to management. Emily was appointed as the new employee relations director for all Chen hotels. Not everyone supported the changes. 3 executives resigned, claiming Robert had gone soft. But the results spoke for themselves. Employee turnover dropped immediately. Guest satisfaction scores rose as happier staff provided better service. "Maria," called a familiar voice. James crossed the break room with a wide smile. He wore a new uniform with engineering apprentice embroidered on the pocket. "I thought we agreed you call me Emily now," she laughed. "Old habits," James shrugged. "Still can't believe I didn't recognize you." James had passed his exam with top scores and was now in the hotel's new apprenticeship program, working part-time while finishing his degree. His sister Tanya had received the first scholarship from the Employee Family Education Fund. "Dad wants us in the meeting room," Emily told him. "The big announcement is today." Upstairs, Robert Chen stood before the gathered hotel staff. Emily took her place beside him, proud of the changes they had made together. "1 year ago," Robert began, "I would have said I knew this hotel better than anyone. I was wrong. I knew the finances, the statistics, the profits, but I didn't know the heart of this place. I didn't know you." He gestured to Emily. "My daughter taught me that true leadership means understanding every part of your business, especially the people who make it possible." Robert unveiled the new hotel policy manual, created with input from staff at all levels. He announced a profit-sharing program that would give employees bonuses and the hotel performed well. Finally, Robert said, "I'm proud to announce our new management training program. Every position, including future hotel managers, will spend their first month working in housekeeping, maintenance, and food service. No exceptions." The room erupted in applause. Emily caught Gloria wiping away a tear. After the meeting, Emily found Victor in the hallway. The night supervisor looked different now, less tired, more confident in his new position as staff development manager. "Never thought I'd see this day," Victor admitted. "All because you had the courage to become Maria." Emily shook her head. "I just showed what was already there. These people always deserve better." As she walked through the hotel that afternoon, Emily noticed staff members standing taller, working with new energy. Guests commented on the positive atmosphere. Even the building itself seemed brighter. In the lobby, she passed a young woman pushing a cleaning cart. Emily smiled and made a point to look her in the eyes. "Thank you for your work," Emily said warmly. The woman looked surprised, then smiled back. "Just doing my job, Miss Chen." "I know," Emily replied. "And it matters."